Yeah.
All to order, I guess. For Tuesday, October 22nd, 10:30 here at Ocean Shores. For our KSW radio board meeting. I guess we'll start with a call to order. I'm here, Patrick.
We'll call it Daryl's here. Marty Hadfield's here.
Rosanna's here.
Marilyn Ferguson's here.
And in attendance also Butch. Butch, you're here.
Oh, yes.
Members, so I don't.
Yeah,
He's in
yeah,
attendance.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, this is here as well.
Announce us.
I'm a harasser.
Approval of meeting agenda.
I thought it looked good.
You want to give a second?
I'll second that.
Alrighty. Next, we move on to public communication.
Oh, approval of minutes.
Minutes.
Oh, so you approval twice, my bad.
Yeah.
Approval of minutes from the last one, gotcha. We'll get the Andrew at that. Give everybody a few seconds. Alrighty, can I get approval of the minutes? One seems ready.
Motion to approve minutes.
I'll second that. I think.
Thank you. And next we move on to public communication. 3 minutes, radio board is providing opportunities for public comments by submitting written comments to the city's clerk office through email, publiccomment@overwestgov.com. But right now, do we have anybody? I have Jane online and we have someone in the audience is either wishing to make a comment.
Just good morning.
Good morning.
Don, you're there as well. Would you like to make a comment?
He might not have heard you. You can ask.
Oh, Don is public communication time if you're hearing us, and you're up if you'd like to make a comment. And you're muted.
He's muted.
Yeah, I'm okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, that's it for public communication. Next we move on to reports. Start with the chair's report. I don't really have anything to report other than we're just waiting on the approval, of course, which will be a little bit later on our budget request. But since our last meeting has been nicely kind of quiet, so we're not saying it's been crazy, but it's probably a good thing. So I'll have maybe something to mention here coming up in the board member report where I speak again, but we'll move on to a station report with Butch and Trey.
They go first.
Trey?
Yeah.
All right, first off, our volunteer staff has, I don't know what they call their committee. I call it the coffee committee because they meet for coffee and get together and come up with some ideas to promote the station. They want to, one of the things they were talking about is they want to get involved with the fire department's Halloween night at the convention center, get a booth there. So that may be happening. Currently, we are looking for volunteers for the concert on November 9th. So if anybody's interested, we would really appreciate it. It's going to be at the 7th State Theater. So we're going to need some help with that one. We are in a desperate need for a generator and transfer switch for the tower location. As when power goes out, all we have is a little 100-watt transmitter sitting in the city building over there. And I know that it was taken out of our budget from the city, right? Yeah, so I'm gonna be looking at the board at North Beach Independent Media to see if we can come up with some funding for that, so we can get that in. But it probably won't be till after the first year, after we get through with all our concerts to make sure we have any money left. But that's what we're looking at. And Marty and I don't know if Marty's gonna talk about this, but we're gonna be meeting on the second city council meeting in November, talk about pretty much the state of the radio station.
What date is that?
I don't know, it's
Oh,
a
like- oh,
fourth
okay.
Tuesday of November.
Well, it's the same date as our next meeting, so that'd be November 26th.
Yeah. And we are currently, we had some trouble with Coast Communications with our internet, and it was off and on and mostly down for a period of a few days. We were having some difficulties. We couldn't broadcast a city council meeting because the internet went down at the station. So we cannot receive the signal from the Comrex if the internet's down at the station. So we couldn't do the city council meeting last time. So we got a request in to get a new hotspot, one that we can hook up to our modem, and it'll power all the computers in the station. So everybody will be live. We have now, we temporarily take the one we use for the Comrex and plug it in. Unfortunately, I had that when I was at the city council meeting, so Trey didn't have anything to plug in. The one we got now just turns on the aux computer, basically. So we need something so we can keep on working when the internet's down, because a lot of our work is done through the internet. And
Well, and that's what keeps the stream alive.
keeps the stream alive, yeah. And so anyway, we're looking at that. I thought, I don't know, it's around $600 for that hotspot, something like that. Yeah. So we're waiting to hear from Sarah, and she's back on vacation, so hopefully we'll hear from her soon. That's my report.
Great, thanks, Butch. Next technology report with Marty.
Well, we did a great shakeout drill, and I shared with the board members. I hope you all were able to play back the test. And that was done by Chief Ritter.
It's better than I thought it was gonna be. I mean, honestly.
Like I said, I thought it was what I considered darn close to, if not flawless. For our first actual test of it, besides me just doing it late at night. But just as an overall picture with the shakeout drill last Thursday, the 17th, at 10:17 a.m., our emergency alert system through National Weather Service picked up the signal from National Weather Service at 10:17:49. And as soon as it got picked up, it immediately started to retransmit over the air. And that went off well. It was a voice descriptive presentation from National Weather Service. Our other friends across the bay over at Westport, their station received the test tones, but they did not get the audible part of the message. They were listening to a different National Weather Service frequency than what we do. We're technically assigned to Capital Peak, and we're location. Sometimes the reception of that is poor. So there are two others that are often picked up here. One is at Astoria, believe it or not, and the other one is up at Forks. And all three of them, or each of the three, seems to periodically have some challenges, but our pickup one just came across just fine. And their test came through, like I say, without the voice portion. We received the second test because we have there are two situations that we monitor from over the air and one over the internet. The over the internet feed was not part of the shakeout. That's one that's done through the federal level. But the second one is a regular broadcast station that we listen to, which is KSWW. It says 102.1. And their test was just because of the amount of time that it takes them to pick up the National Weather Service alert and then transmit it, hold it for a little bit, then transmit it. Theirs came through rather than at 10:17:49. Theirs came out to us at 10:18:35. So because ours already grabbed the information and it was basically a duplicate of information. It doesn't process that, it just logs it in our system. So we have a log of it coming in, and that was great. And it did have the audio and all of that that was appropriate. And then at about almost exactly 10:30, we figured it was going to be somewhere between 10:30 and 10:45 was when the fire chief was going to go ahead and do his test of the dial-in override system. And man, it took right off. I thought his delivery was very calm and sensible, and kind of mirrored the instructions that were being received over the tsunami alert PA systems. Just as a kind of an editorial comment, the radio presentation of the Great Shakeout was fantastic. I thought that in my own experience of the tsunami alarm system going off, I was a little disappointed in a way, because when the alert went off right at 10:17, the same time that the National Weather Service came through, those are also triggers for the tsunami system. It didn't start out with sirens. It just started out with a voice announcement out of the cold. And it just said, you know, this is participating in the test. And I actually have a recording of it in the background from when I was out in my car listening. And it does go through a routine of saying, you know, seek higher ground immediately. Don't try to get away, just get up. And I thought very nicely, they ended each one of their messages in saying, be sure and tune to your local radio station for information that's impacting your community, kind of thing. So that was choice. They did that in English once or twice. They did it in Spanish once or twice. And then the sirens went into the whale mode. And that lasted what felt like 5 minutes or something. It was way longer than a brief test. And so I wish they had started out with at least 10 or 20 seconds of wailing sirens rather than, you know, and no Westminster chimes this time. This was like the equivalent of a real alert. So overall, I'd kind of grade the thing as maybe an A- or B+, something like that. I think it was quite successful from that regard. I will note that the WEA system, which is the one that sends out the alerts to cell phones, I was kind of disappointed in that one because my phone didn't go off, and my wife is on the same. We're on Verizon. She was at home down at the south end. Hers went off. Mine, I was up at the station, I didn't go off, and I'm like, kind of weird, you know. So there's some hiccups in the county's distribution system for the WEA, but I'm sure they'll be digesting the results of the tests and address that, hopefully. So there you go. That's my technology report.
I thought it was pretty amazing when Chief Ritter called in. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, just busted right in the middle of a song, and you could hear the touchdown.
That he did, he used for, like, Bush, when he lost internet at the station, if there was a way to take of course, we'd have to get the signal of the city council, but just to go over a phone dial in and use the same back.
Well, if the internet is down,
Yeah.
that phone number is dead.
Oh, is it? Okay, so it's
Same thing with our studio phones. So I'll be interested to see if our studio phones continue to work by using the hotspot model, because that may.
So that backup,
Coast came in and changed out our modem.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was talking to him. He thought that if we hooked into the modem, that the phones would work along with the
Okay.
computers.
Yeah.
I don't know. We haven't tested it,
Right.
but that would be a big plus if that happens.
we don't have an analog copper.
No, there's no,
We should, yeah.
the city doesn't have a contract for that. If I.
Oh, we should,
understand
we
the
can
rules.
afford, I'm sorry, about $50 a month. Give or take, you know, internet, you know, they keep calling.
Well, there's no phone line, no copper phone line or like that to the station anyway. So
Well, there's just buried line there.
there is a.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure
It's possible.
They'll put it in.
It's just that we don't have an account with CenturyLink. That's the bottom line. Yeah. And there may or may not be, I don't know if you can address anything about restrictions that the city has on who's their carrier. That was a big deal because Verizon is the hotspot carrier, cell phone carrier for the city.
Okay.
They were not interested in getting involved with like T-Mobile.
I'm sure, because who owns the copper.
And that, which is what we use up at the tower site right now as a T-Mobile hotspot because Verizon doesn't work up there very well. So
It's T-Mobile's tower.
It comes down to just getting a copper line at the station.
we should be able to. Yeah, but there may be some city restrictions on it. I don't know. You know,
We'll add it to
exclusivity or something.
Something to add to next time's agenda.
That's a good.
There you go.
I will follow up on that.
You went
about that.
to down here with that one here, or does it not work here?
Contract.
Depends where you are, but the city doesn't have a contract with T-Mobile. Yeah, they were not interested in pursuing that at the time anyway. So, okay, I'll follow up on the question of.
Yeah, just if you could, see what, if you could find out what it takes.
I have a question on that test. When the fire chief activated the city, their alarm system, was the main test that you're back to regular programming and then he popped in?
Yeah,
That was the process.
yeah, we purposely wanted to offset the chief or whoever was going to do the interruption. Originally, I had suggested be like at 10:10 ahead of the sirens, because I felt like, oh, that might be kind of nice because it would put it in people's minds that this test is going to be
Here it
kicking off in a
comes.
couple of minutes. But I'm sure that they were very busy with the
Yeah.
fire department, because one of the things that I know that occurred is, and their standing orders are, when the tsunami sirens go off, they go out and they head up to,
Hogan's Corner.
Hogan's Corner, and they have a Meet Me EMS central point up there that has probably up by that little park and ride lot or something, I'm guessing. I haven't been up to see it.
The old airport.
The secondary airport up there? The new?
Right behind the new.
Hogan's Corner is-
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they had enough facility there. It makes
you-
sense. That makes sense.
Did they open the gates when they go to the airport?
It's bust through with one.
Yes, the gates are open. They had coordinated to have the gates open.
Jaws
In
alive
an
through it.
actual emergency.
Yeah.
We're allowed to break the.
They have bolt cutters.
They don't have the electric.
No, they have the big truck, they'll just.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
They're allowed.
Yeah, yeah. So they all left town, most of them. I actually heard one of the fire dispatch calls back to the main dispatch center saying, they had like 8 units that were going to remain at the off-site emergency meet me point. And because simultaneously, there was an emergency call for a medical alert that was somewhere north a little ways. I think it was like up towards Pack Beach, or maybe not that far. And so there was coordination efforts with other fire departments to try to get the emergency covered. But I think there was somebody who had some medical distress. And so that happened. Like maybe they were scared by the sirens. I don't know. So it was a complicated moment, and the best opportunity was for him to go on right at 10:30.
Yeah, okay.
Well, is that high enough, that airport?
Yeah,
It's better than this elevator.
Well, what I'm thinking, I mean, yeah. If there's,
To get rid of.
you take the evacuation routes, why don't you just run up the old airport? It's a lot closer.
Oh, the airport here?
Yeah, no, the old airport, Hogan's Corner.
That's where.
That's what-
No, I know, I'm talking about the citizens.
Oh,
At the community, they, instead of trying all the way down to Powell Road and trying to get out, or up to Capelas Crossing and get across, they could just go to the old airport.
several years ago, we had a citizens evacuation thing and they had us going to the old parking lot there at Hogan's Corner. And then they talked about the airport, but it was locked up and you couldn't get in. And so, but that's got lean-to shelters, so it keeps out of the wind. And it's 60 feet above sea level there, believe it or not. So it's high enough that for a big, and not a huge one, but that's not to include the trash, because the other trash builds it
floats on
higher.
top, yeah.
Yeah, so it would be, it's the closest place that's a survivable area.
I just follow the big truck when it tears down the gate.
Yeah. Well, one of the challenges in that is, of course, right at Hogan's Corners, there is some ground that's above elevation, but it drops off very rapidly back down towards much lower, back down to sea levels. Yeah, that's,
And the airport
tough.
stays and it's longer out.
yeah. Plus, it's a point of rescue too. So that's, besides just evacuation, it's they can land helicopters and commercial aircraft if they had to. But,
Gonna hold a lot of people up there.
Oh, yeah, thousands. Standing up.
They never talk about that.
no, I've never heard of any instructions about a meet me.
Oh,
Just
It's private.
try to get out, try to go up.
It's private property.
I don't think anybody's gonna care if a tsunami's coming. They're not
Right.
gonna-
Car.
It would be nice to,
You've got people to go to somebody else's property.
well, it'd be nice to have at least a discussion where we could, and maybe this is something that city council or some other emergency coordinators have already devised, but tell people now, where would you go?
Yeah, if you only got 15, 20 minutes to get out of here,
You're lucky.
place to go, because you're not gonna make it anyplace else.
You know, when I worked at a TV station in Eastern Washington, no, it was Arizona. Anyway, I worked at a TV station someplace and in the teletype room was the civil defense envelope. And it had been in there in that hot room for so long, the glue had let go. And it said, do not open under penalty of blah, blah, blah. But it was already open. So I looked at it. And it gave the instructions about things. This was in the Tri-Cities because one of the alerts that I read, and I memorized this because it was so scary, that it said, the President of the United States has authorized me to give the following message. So they had all these scripts all done. And it said, the message went on to say, missiles have been launched. Do not go and try to leave, get under cover now. And I thought, at that point, I quit.
Got Marty still in his report a little bit. I got a mic, a nice mic. And I wanna get ready to put a temporary studio up at the tower site.
Just a little mixer.
We got the mixer, I got the mic, you got the laptop up there, and all we gotta do is get a hard drive up there.
Well, I think we ought to work with the city and get some scripts made up and in a sealed envelope and at the station to say what would happen if this were a real tsunami, if this was a real flood and the roads are closed or a script that says the roads set have liquefied or various things.
Do not open it unless we have an emergency.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think my preference in the long run is, although they're obviously not going to have time to dedicate it to broadcasting, but is to defer to the fire department or the police department's instructions. And that's the advantage of having them be able to directly go on the air.
The same scripts, then
Yeah.
in the event that the cell phones are down,
Right.
then you can take over.
Well, there's another layer that I'm working on. And that is, because I'm a belt and suspenders guy when I want to be, is a radio-based link that the fire chief and the police chief's vehicle or other vehicle of their choice would have a specific transmitter device that can be tied directly into the tower site. So everything goes away down here. Even if we have the phone number set up so they can go live on the air up there, that still requires cell phones or some method of getting in. So the best solution now would be to put in and they're amazingly inexpensive because it's old technology, but an analog transmitter that has a decent microphone on it that would be dedicated for emergency purposes where they could actually override the programming, and the reception system for that would be up at the tower site. So as long as we had power up there at the site, even if the internet is completely wiped out, they could still get emergency information in there. And we could do the same thing, either by going up to the site and going live with a little mini DJ setup, or if we had some other safe location that we knew that was Joe's house that's up at a somewhat elevated location that we could transmit from there and be able to hit the tower and be able to keep that on the air. So there's a couple of different levels that I'm trying to build into this thing that has worst case scenarios solved. And
Something to talk about city council in a month, was it, or so, when you guys are talking? Is that?
oh, yeah, end of next month. Yeah,
That's something to include in that discussion at all, or?
probably. Yeah. A lot of this, what I'd really love to be able to do is have some of the costs for some of this stuff come out of the, like the fire department's budget or the police
Yeah,
department's
if you
budget.
don't have it in-
Yeah, and, or there may just be, enough of a passion for it that the council would grant us the permission to spend the extra funds to put something like that in.
You just reminded me of something we took out when we got rid of the cheap Reserve program. It used to be in there. But in the pallet section down below, we had one line on the pallet that was full of instructions of power goes out. This goes out. They're all pre-recorded messages. We could do the same with the fire police department. They could record something for us. We put it in a pallet down there. So the DJ can sit there and instead of trying to explain things, they can actually hit the pallets and let the jingles play and give all kinds of instructions and directions on what to do.
All right, good. Thank you,
Think so?
Marty. Sure. Next up, council's liaison report, Denise.
Yeah, well, you all gave your, Patrick gave his, budget request and, last meeting at the council. You continued with, budget requests and those were from, let's see, parks, library, police, fire, public works. So, just a reminder that those were all requests and what those departments would like. We have a council meeting scheduled on Saturday, November 2nd. I don't know whether that has actually been finalized, but that is the date that we're looking at. And at that point, the mayor and finance will present a proposed budget. So until then, we really don't know what will be in the budget. And then after that, that's when the discussions and the negotiations will start to look at what we actually have money for and what are the things that could possibly be cut or added.
Is that a closed door meeting? Is that a closed door?
No, all public.
We'll probably broadcast that, right?
Yeah, and it has not been, we were asked what date was available, and I talked to the mayor yesterday, he was saying November 2nd, but I have not received an official invitation.
Is that a Saturday?
That is a Saturday.
Well, I think council hopefully remembers when I presented, most of that budget is fixed cost. I mean, it's, that's what the bills are, most of it, so. Not a whole lot of leeway in there, but anyway, great. Sorry, anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you, Denise.
We're gonna have to make it November 9th.
Where would that be? It would be at the convention center.
Okay, next financials. And so we have, again, we're advised we don't have the summary report. It wasn't prepared in time, but we do have the detail from last month here on page 5 of our agenda notes. A little bit at IGA and Buck, or and then just a couple of extra dollars of Beacon Pest Patrol.
Is that,
For the,
may I ask, is the $453 for the Beacon Pest Control? That
well, no,
every
200, the first one's.
Quarterly.
Well, first is for
month to date?
Anna's cleaning, that's 200.
That's right, that's clean.
twice,
It's
yeah,
just
so that's like
professional
40
services.
each time.
Okay.
So it's 280.
Okay.
So really, you take that out, then
But
it's
I,
only 120. I just don't know what the extra 47 or 48 is. Really.
Yeah.
we could actually drop Beacon off.
Really?
Yeah, well, I called him one time because we had a problem with ants.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize we were into a quarterly inspection every 3 months.
Are we done with the
That was 2 years ago.
So we can just drop them any.
Yeah, the answer been long gone.
We could drop them.
Make it on demand, yeah.
Yeah, we don't need them coming in.
Let's put that money towards an analog phone line. Seriously, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's, I guess, do you wanna go ahead and drop them then?
Yeah, we can drop them. Well, I'll have
I don't know who else
Sarah
to drop
drop
them.
them because I can't,
Drop them.
I'll have Sarah
Oh,
drop.
Sarah's the one that does that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, would you mind reaching out to Sarah to have that done?
I'll see her tonight. She's gonna be there tonight, right?
She's on vacation, okay. Alrighty, and then the rest looks all good here, so. And then the only other thing is, as mentioned, Nicole, if you could, this detailed report's great, but if you could do the same detailed one on the income side that goes into the summary. It shows, I can get with you later, but it shows basically the donations that get put in that go against our budget. That way, so the underwriting and the stuff that gets turned in.
You guys are needy.
I know, just a little needy. Any questions on financials or anything, anybody? All right, we're good. Cool. What's next? Board member report, back to Marty.
Oh, boy. I'll just reiterate quickly on the power outage on Friday night. As usual, it's unfortunate whenever it takes our main site down, but of course, this was right during a football game. So we were thankful to at least have the small fill-in down here, but that's another one of those reminders of the unfortunate side effect of a power outage without backup power. And then one other quick thing is just for an awareness factor. We're pretty much stuck with the reasonably low power level that we have for a backup here. And that's because the original KOSW power transmitter, 300, I think it was 350 watt transmitter, we'd sent it in for repairs, and ultimately it's been determined that it is corroded beyond repair. So we're not gonna allocate any more funds towards trying to resurrect that thing. That's unfortunate, but it's what it is. So that's one of the reasons we're kind of refocusing, and rather than spend a bunch of money for a backup like that, let's spend 50% of that amount towards a backup power source for the transmitter.
Backup line, yeah.
Yeah. So
When the power went out during the football game, when the backup transmitter, was that on the same frequency?
yes,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So would have been transparent to anybody here.
Well,
anybody in town,
it was
if you're out of town.
was funny because no one called in, and Trey, he's listening to it to the monitor and to the stream, and is working fine through that. And he's in the back room back there. And nobody called to tell him we weren't on the air.
I think, was that me that called then or
It was
something?
you that called, and Trey went back there and he pushed the air button and said, no, we're off the air.
Yeah.
So that's when he went and got the little hotspot and hooked it up to auxiliary computer. So we got that, or to the, yeah, so
Yeah.
we could stream it out. But half the game, we were just off the air, and not a soul called the station to say, hey, where's the ball game at?
They're all watching on YouTube.
We're all probably watching.
Yeah, right, it could be.
It worked pretty good.
That was
Pretty
tough.
good for just out of the gate like that. You guys did a pretty good job.
Was that this last game or?
Yeah, I only have one
Homecoming?
suggestion, Daryl.
Oh.
It's, I would if you had another camera, take a picture, have one all the time on the scoreboard and down in the little corner so you can see the time that's running and the score is running all the time.
Wait, was this the last game, the homecoming game or the game before?
It was a homecoming game. It would, actually, it was pretty cool to listen, because it was synced just right.
Yeah.
The only difference is when they're going to an instant replay, the guys in the booth didn't know that. They're talking about.
They weren't even looking at the instant replay screen they had for them. They weren't even watching. Yeah.
Pretty impressive, though.
That was impressive. I was really impressed.
And was
Oh,
that
that's
using the
anything.
school's Wi-Fi, or did you have a direct
Here's the
connection?
school's Wi-Fi. That's why we're not doing away games.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a hotspot.
Yeah, enough
And it costs money.
capacity.
So that's not gonna happen.
Still you? Anything else, Marty?
No, thanks.
All right, next up is Daryl.
Well, I'll talk about the football game in a second, but first off, on October 10th, Butch and I went to the high school CTE, that's the continuing technical education meeting. And so we were both of us are volunteer advisors to that program, and that includes like cooking and shop stuff and other technical school items. And both of us went there and kind of presented to the people that we would like to have. We'll take in some students that are interested in broadcasting and journalism, both of us. And we have to go through, I told them would rather go through Aberdeen WorkSource, and that way, if a student is interested and they put in either 20 or 40 hours, they get $200 for their volunteer time. So it makes it, and it's like, and we have to grade them on the things. So it's not a given, but at least there's some give and take and responsibility going on there. So I went on to a specialized meeting afterwards for the TV production that they want to do at the high school and some of the things that they've got going on. They want to do some YouTube stuff and make some short little student videos. And I said, well, you make them, we'll put them on the air. We'll figure out time for them. It doesn't look like they're at the point yet, because it's such a small school, of having any kind of a daily report or, and we'll just see what happens. But I'm working with the school. I work with them for the segue for the football game. And we did the first one without a rehearsal whatsoever. It was, in my opinion, a dismal failure, but everybody seemed to be really happy with it. Yeah.
Echo for the first time.
Yeah, because they had the incoming feed on the Comrex turned up, so it got the KOSW coming back, and so just a horrible echo on the first half. So once I said turn down the feed, and the echo went away, so it took care of that. Then we had issues with the microphones again, and we didn't have time to set everything up. We did have a camera on the scoreboard on that one, and had that super over the main program camera. We had two cameras for that game. We had a wireless handheld on the field and a wired camera on sticks up high, taking the KOSW audio again. So we did that on both those games. And the wireless camera worked out great. School was real happy with the coverage. I had a lot of concerns, but but it was the first one without a rehearsal, because it was like we just decided a couple of days beforehand that the other guys would lift all of the stuff, because I'm still under restrictions. So they lifted all the gear and packed it all up and did the stuff. And so then we did the homecoming game. The audio, we could not get it to work out of the Comrex. So we wound up using a stereo plug in the headset. And so that gave us just a left channel. And then it was at a real low level, because we went 1/4-inch stereo plug into an XLR, and it just didn't quite work out right. We really did have a mono one going and splitting it off into left and right. So I peeled off all of the audio from the program, and after I finished the editing, I peeled the audio off, ran it through Audacity, and then muted channel 2, took channel 1 and panned it center pan. So now it's both things, that it's much clearer and louder. Unfortunately, when I made the edit, the audio track somehow skipped about four seconds ahead. So I didn't realize that, because it sounded good, and I re-uploaded it to YouTube, and then I had to take the edited version, load that to YouTube. It took 3 hours for it to render. Yeah, after it uploaded to render, and it did the same thing for the TV station. And that's when Jerry said, "Oh, the audio is off." I looked at him, yep. So then I went into it again yesterday, and I fixed the audio so it's all in sync. But I thought, I'm not going to go through that again. So the file is all set. So when we activate the Castus in the future and the rest of the off season, we play this stuff back, it'll be in a good file. So the Castus is in work. And once we get the Castus going, we can do, supposedly we should be able to do high school games live to the TV channel. So that's a piece of hardware that we did not get for the LTAC money last year, but we got it through the.
Do you need a different connection for us?
No, we'll just take, well, yeah, for the out of the
The Comrex to your unit?
Yeah, we need probably, well, we need to have, I told Jerry this in an email, that he needs to arrange that we're not gonna do any more tests, any more of these things live until we sit down and have a good day.
Doesn't the Comrex have a mic out or is it line out, the XLR?
It does not have an XLR line out. You know, no, it's actually a 3.5 millimeter line out.
Okay. XLR and put it in the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, it has a 1/4 jack for headphones.
Headphone, that's what they've been using.
We're using headphones out. Then we could take the
Why
line.
would they have a little extra gain?
Yeah, I was just gonna say do the same with city council, because we plug it into one of the cameras and done.
We don't plug into the Comrex, we go through the wall.
Gotcha. But city council is what I said, yeah.
Correct, yeah. So we're avoiding the Comrex because we had problems with it. So we're not gonna do any more rebroadcasts or we can do simulcasts. We're not gonna do any more productions like that until we have a leisurely day. So I told Jerry to sit down and plug things in on a non-event day and make sure it works.
Yeah.
Get it going before basketball gets here.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna do basketball
Yeah.
until we have that day.
We'll have a cool
I'm just
camera.
not gonna do anymore. Because it's just embarrassing at the audio. Without audio on television, it's surveillance.
It sounded really good last Friday night. I was watching the game and listening to the audio. It was good.
Not on TV. It was one channel was nothing but static because it was nothing.
Oh, I'm talking about YouTube worked good though.
You're right. It was not good. It was half audio. You had to crank the audio way up to get it. So,
Oh, I don't know. I had enjoyed it. I just sat there.
It's cool to have pictures.
You're
of
still
kids
doing
playing
SDTV
football.
at
That's
home.
worth its weight there, but yeah.
It was not good. It was a failure. It was a total failure. So not gonna do that again.
Anything else, Drew?
Yeah, and then, we're gonna get we just got the new graphic for the high school stuff, and so we had the graphics on the program, but yeah, on the second game, I did not set the camera up pointing to the scoreboard, because the scoreboard lit up and you can see a little square, you can see these numbers, but there's no text above them that said what it really was.
Well, contrast it to, you just set brightness.
So it's not the contrast, it's just that the background is not lit, and so the LEDs come up. And so there needs to be text or reincorporated with a graphical scoreboard. And I can do that if there was time to do a
Yeah.
rehearsal. But we didn't even rehearse nothing, so it didn't work out. So I'm not gonna put that up again, and then we only had one camera because it was raining so bad, we didn't dare take the handheld down to the field. So it was one camera coverage with a replay and a reverse camera on the play-by-play guys. We lit them this time, so we had a bit more time for that. So it didn't look green like it did the first game. First game was off.
I didn't see the first game. I just saw the homecoming game.
Oh, the other one's still up there on YouTube. Both of them are still there. The second. On the TV channel, I didn't play the first half. I edited it out because it was so awful with the echo. So I just started the game halfway. Anyway, that's my report. That's all I got.
Great, thanks, Derek. Next, Rosanna.
I don't know if it's consider a report, but I do have a question for you. New show, Cup of Joe, what's that about? Sounds cute.
Oh, I was sick. And so I instead of we got people sitting in for her. And I just changed the name of the show for that one particular
Oh.
thing. Okay, I didn't want to have them using Kai's name when she wasn't there, and I didn't want to wake up with Tom or wake up with Trey, so I just said a morning cup of Joe with
Very
them,
cute.
right? No, it's not a permanent show, it's just a temporary thing that I did for that.
For her show.
Yeah, now we do have a new show that just started last night, Good Vibe with DJ Jean, Mama Jean.
Mama Jean, I'll listen for
I
it.
gotta tell everybody, her name's not Jeannie, because it looks like Jeannie when you look at how she spells her name.
Is it Jeanne or just J?
Jeanne, Jean, but it's French, it's got the Jean.
I think I saw just one N. on
I
it.
changed it.
Okay.
She caught me on it yesterday when I was sitting with her going through yesterday was her first show, so I was with her. And she didn't say anything to me. And I says, don't you have two N's in your name? Yeah, I didn't want to say anything. Well, shoot. So I ran in the production room and changed it around and got it corrected. Yeah. Stuff happens.
She seemed pretty comfortable. She sounded pretty good on the air. I heard her couple
Yeah.
of occasions.
I've been really happy with the last 3 volunteers that we've been training. Paul, I was with him twice and he went solo. Same with Michelle, twice, she went solo. Now, I might be a little bit more with Jean one thing, because she won't be here next week. So, you know, when you're 2 weeks out and only done it once, you're gonna forget a lot of the things that you learned on the first one. So I think after about 3 or 4 times with her, she'll be going solo. I'm really happy. I've had them where I've been with them for 6 months. You know, trying to get them to
They all sound great, I think.
Yeah. You know, the hardest part about the whole thing is bringing your list up and getting started. After that, you pretty much get the flow of things, stopped after current play, talk, and that gets pretty, you know, but most of them forget the steps to get the playlist up in time. Especially now, since they're following somebody or something, they don't have a lot of time. You know, you can't sit there for 15, 20 minutes before and try to figure it out. But we can with Joan because I cut her from a 3-hour show to a 2-hour show. Cause I didn't want to be there at 2:30 all the way till 9:30 at night. So I started with 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And then as soon as she goes solo, she'll start at 3 o'clock on her own and go to 6 o'clock. So she'll have a 3-hour show. Now I gotta find time for Andy when he gets back, cause I don't know where Andy's going yet.
He's coming back.
He keeps saying he is, but he's just getting a hip replacement, he's getting a lot of things that, you know. I can't hold an opening for forever for somebody, so I had to fill it. And now we may have a midday opening, maybe. Ricky's having his brother's getting worse, and so he's got a lot more doctor appointments and things he's got to take up with his brother. And so he may have to give up his midday show, maybe, and maybe not. That's up to him. But on the other hand, we're losing Ken at the end of this month. He's gonna be a sub, but he says he can't do a full show every Sunday. He's got things going on. He can't rush home just to do the show. So that leaves our Sunday night open between 6 and 9. And I was looking for a jazz show. And Ricky really likes jazz and knows a lot about jazz. So if he gives up his midday show, I might give him a jazz show on Sunday nights.
What happened to At?
I don't know what happened to that.
He lost it personally and just wasn't gonna work out.
Yeah, I mean, she's got an open time to come in, work on her play or something, but every time I get her there, something comes up, she can't make it. And so it's up to her. Whenever she decides that she wants to get serious and be able to have the time to do it. That answer your question? Okay.
Great, thanks for that.
Very informative.
Marilyn?
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing, Marilyn. And myself. Only thing I was gonna maybe mention, maybe start discussing, just to get some feedback. Something I always thought about since I first started, really moved here a little over 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Is the format and the stuff, the music that we play in this. So I thought that was that maybe do something called day parting. It's, you know, this is just an idea and I'd like to talk about more in the future meetings, but it's where my thought would be you cater to tourists Friday through Sunday. So Fridays, and you play a format that tourists, you know, are coming to hear, maybe experience that they're not getting in their town, and that would be like a beachy vibe, like a kind of a reggae positive, you know, kind of stuff you'd hear like when you go to Hawaii. Sometimes there's that kind of music too, you know, throwing some Bruno Mars and some other stuff, but really more of a like stick figure in the elevators. But it'd be Friday through Sunday. It would just be Welcome Ocean Shores, be quick, you know, announcements, you know, community events and the tides, the weather, and you're getting back to the music, because then you can have the local program and all the, you know, that people that we all do Monday through Thursday, and maybe even, you know, start earlier. I mean, I know I think, what's the first time someone's on 8 or someone on a 6?
9 o'clock on Saturdays.
No, I'm saying Monday through Thursday. What time do people start at?
8 o'clock.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are up even at 5 or 6 in the morning. Just a thought. So just a discussion was that maybe you expand the hours Monday through Thursday for all the local programs and the people that want to do their shows, but then Friday through Sunday, it's just, you know, hey, Welcome to Shores, and we can still, you know, same people can still have the weekend slots. It'd just be a format, though, of course, that maybe they.
Well, I got something I can say about that. You're talking about volunteers here, Pat.
Absolutely,
All
absolutely.
right? I can't tell them what to play. All right?
Well, I'm just saying maybe not, I mean, you can tell them what to play, just a certain format Friday through Sunday. That's all I'm saying. Monday through Thursday, hey, do whatever you wanna do, you're used to doing.
Well, you're gonna have to find volunteers that wanna play that music then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a discussion, just an idea,
Discussion.
so.
I've been through this and I've been
Okay.
through it with Marty. Marty has given me some suggestions that commercial stations do. I
Yeah.
says, we're not commercial, they're volunteers.
Sure.
And I start telling them what to do and their programming, they'll probably just say, screw it. I'd say,
Yeah.
I told Rosanna what to play. She'd probably say, I don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah, it's whoever has more than likely shows Friday through Sunday that would have issues.
And on Sundays, we usually calm down a little bit. It's not exactly, I mean, Roseanne does kind of a classic show.
It's a mix.
It's a mix, but
Sure.
it's not a heavy rock and roll type show or blues show. It's,
Absolutely.
and then,
Well, people are out of town usually by, what, 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I mean, maybe even Sunday, early afternoon, you go back to local. I'm just thinking Friday.
Yeah, no announcers on the weekend, just all canned.
Yeah, it's all canned for the most part, but.
People have the weekend off.
You gotta have community events, this is canned, but it's fresh. It's like, hey, here's the weather day, here's the tides, hey, your clamor's coming for the weekend.
the tides now are on.
I know, it's there, but I'm just saying how it would work, and it's so.
And the live DJs always are reading what's going on in town.
Absolutely, and I agree. I love hearing the water behind the tide thing. I think it's great.
I'm trying to change it a
A
little
little
bit.
heavy and sometimes, but it's just, again, an idea, and I think the issue to be with people that have shows from Friday through Sunday. I mean, and if anything, we can add more time, because I'm driving to the community center, and the community center started open at 6, and we're still not, I would think we would have DJs in, so just an idea,
If anybody wants to come there at 5:30 in the morning.
So, and then talk.
I mean, if I was paying these people, it'd be a whole different.
Absolutely. So it sounds like it's gonna be a healthy discussion. So it's just an idea. Don't say, oh, it's just one guy on the board came up with this idea. And anyway, so I'd like to talk about further and move this to old business on the next agenda. So please feedback, let's bring it to the next one, and I'll probably have some stuff.
Are you gonna stick around for our staff meeting afterwards?
Go ahead, mention it. Sure.
You know
Just
what
an
to do
idea.
on the old
Yeah.
business.
I tell them.
I have to be somewhere next.
Cause I was gonna ask Daryl, if he could stick around for a little bit at the staff meeting. Can you do that? I wanna talk about what it would take to put cameras in the studio and if anybody would be interested in.
I'm all for that too. That's that whole feedback thing where we do some live, push,
But then there's a lot of people that probably don't want their face on that.
yeah,
probably not.
have one with little slider.
Or make it so you can put your passport photo on a little.
Yeah.
Block.
A little,
What's the
little
most-
GI Joe.
Please stand by.
Stuff you can do with the camera. Sorry. So anyway, that's all I have. Again, we'll move that to next new business. Again, it's just an idea. I've been wanting to talk about it and it'd be.
I love to throw that idea out
Hear it all.
See what they say.
I'm there.
Half of them would lose their shows.
I mean, how many people have shows Friday through Sunday?
Well, there's
I
myself.
should say people that have them Monday through Thursday have them on Friday. don't they?
No, Lon doesn't have anything on during the week. He has Saturday and Sunday mornings. The Roseanne has a show on Sunday. I have a show on Saturday. Della has a show on Saturday. Dan has a show on Saturday. Trey has a show on Saturday. Sunday, we have Ken has a show on Sunday, Lon's show on Sunday. And then we have some podcast shows on Sunday we do that brings it back, the 45 RPMs and yeah. So there's a lot of DJs on the weekend.
Yeah.
In fact, for a while, one thing that we were pushing for was to get rid of the robot during the week, because we would have a show, then 2 hours of canned music, then a show. So now we have very little canned music playing anymore, except overnight we do, because there's nobody there. But mainly now, there's a couple spots now that still has a robot list in it for an hour or something. Basically, we have live DJs now, basically from 8 in the morning and sometimes till 1:30 in the morning when Trey's there. So,
That was the whole point, to fill it up.
yeah.
I can't ever think of any, like, of course, movies and things you see where they change the format and the DJs are like, hey, great. This
Yeah, right.
Unless there are a few people DJs that, hey, this is cool music, maybe you might be into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, great, work the weekend and do it. I would rather not, you can. I want to make sure you're clear of that. I just, just an idea if that's how it came out, but of course it wouldn't even happen unless people want to do it, and it sounds like it more than likely won't, but I just want to talk about it at least. So,
Well, the survey is helping us somewhat, but,
Yeah.
um,
Speaking of that, you know what? That's all I have. Let's move on to the survey next. So good tie in there, Butch. Segue, tie-in, yeah. So the survey, where are we at here? A friend of mine. So this is the updated results, I take it?
No, I had 2 blank pages. in it.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't save the actual like submitted stuff.
yeah, those are the comments that he
Yeah,
didn't take.
the comments didn't show up.
I see that.
Oh,
But this is still about a week old, I think, because,
Well, it would have been, because I have to,
oh,
when I give you the agenda, I did it the day I gave you the.
yeah, so this came out Thursday.
So-
Here's the agenda.
but there's still 133 people that were on it. That's a lot more than the.
Yeah, than the first time.
Next time.
Are you, well, I mean, let's just go quickly through the questions, I guess, make sure you're aware KSW is the only radio station in Ocean Shores. Yeah, I would have to say, people are pretty well aware of that. Question 2, do you listen to KSW, the all volunteer FM station Ocean Shores? 80%. So 80% that did the survey, of course, people that did the survey, still, I don't really have any comment on that. I don't know if anybody did. How often do you listen to KSW radio? It's all over the place. Really spread out, really. Kind of good to see.
Well, how many people listen on the weekend?
Yeah, there you go, weekend, yeah. So yeah, see, there's no problem. The bar is low on weekends.
Nobody listens.
No, this.
Well, you notice-
Afternoons is high. I saw
It's
it.
busy morning shows and the afternoon shows.
In evenings, yeah, evenings. So it's definitely lower in the evenings for across the board, weekday and weekend.
People watching TV.
Yeah, they don't have other stuff going on. All right, question 4. In any given week, approximately how many hours do you listen to KSW? Less than an hour, 1 to 2, 2 to 4. So really 1 to 4 hours, 4 to 6 spread out.
I think most of those are the ones that get driving in their cars when they're
Yeah.
listening.
Till they lose it.
Question 5, how do you listen to KSW on the radio? So that's about 80%. And then there's quite a few streaming. Yeah, it's only been in my car radio myself. I need to do some other.
I'm
ones.
surprised with that.
Our streaming though, see, what's not taking. We're getting a lot more streamers than we used to get.
Yeah,
I mean. When we do a report in November, at the city council meeting, I'll have a detailed thing out about how many
Yeah.
people stream. And how many visit our website and our Facebook site.
yeah.
Along with Marty's gonna be coming up with technical stuff, and so it's gonna be an interesting. Meeting, anyway.
Okay. Where at the home mostly, radio, internet, and in the car, home, and that's pretty much where you're at mostly. And there's a few businesses I know that play it, but then they won't because they'll turn it because the format changed sometimes.
Well, that's the thing that we got a feedback from most of the businesses. They
Yeah.
don't play us because we don't have a set format. If it's all classic rock or if it's all new wave or whatever it is, so.
They need you though.
Yeah.
In addition to number 7, urgent emergency information, is there enough variety programming? Yeah. I mean, most people, I think, would certainly agree with that. In the event of Cascade earthquake, North Beach area, how would you expect to get immediate local instruction information? Most people know to turn to the radio. Looks like a lot of people have a weather radio at home. That's good to see.
I think that both of those are kind of an added branding that we need to bring to the station of where to tune to, and this is.
And where to get these radios too?
Hmm?
It's always good to have these radios.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, most,
I've heard someone mention on the radio, but that's certainly
Yeah.
always good to mention.
yeah, and the challenge, of course, is if you're gonna rely on the NOAA weather radio, you're not gonna get the information of what's going on out here. You're gonna get general area and, most of the focus is gonna be out here is gonna be for what's going on where the population centers are. Then secondarily, it'll be information because everybody's worried about what happens in Seattle and or Portland or something. So some of that kind of information may be coming out over NOAA, and National Weather Service, but, you know, it's showing what I've always suspected, of course, is that people are going to tune to their local radio station for that kind of information.
Yeah.
And I think we need to capitalize on that and make sure that, you know, the council knows that, and we are strongly focused on the importance of that. And I don't know if you guys have noticed lately, actually just before the shakeout tests and through now, when I go to YouTube through like Roku or something like that, I can't believe how many stories are now up about the urgency that municipalities are putting on the alert and information side of getting people aware of their tsunami exposures here. And there's a lot more than I've ever seen on there. So that's a good thing. There's a huge population awareness. And I think that the shakeout is one that is just helping drive that home. So.
There was an earthquake off of Coos Bay, so I think that's part of why.
And Vancouver Island too. Yeah.
So I think that's part of.
Live, so.
Yeah, and there wasn't as many comments on Facebook as there had been last year about how come the whaling is going on?
Right.
Is this real? So there was more people aware of the great shakeout.
Yeah.
I think you guys did a good job
Huh?
in promoting that for days.
You're trying.
Okay.
That's another thing is, it's when we're gonna have to press to the council is local radio station. You're not gonna get the same information even out of Aberdeen. They're gonna be talking about Aberdeen, Hoquiam areas.
Which is there.
Yep.
The only way you're gonna get information about here is through KOSW mainly, okay?
Yeah, realistically.
Realistically, that's what the people are gonna tune to it immediately as soon as they hear the sirens going off or what's happening. They're gonna wanna know what's going on.
And that's part of what we need to communicate to the populace too, is you hear those sirens, they'll give you some instructions, but tune to us for the actual details because we have the connections with the police and fire departments and other services within the city. So, yeah, I think that we need to maybe develop
That one
a
home.
promo about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the sirens go off and they start talking, you can't understand what they're saying anyway.
If all the windows and doors are closed in
Yeah,
my house, I can't even hear it.
It's not intended, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, they're
outside.
right,
Yeah, it's supposed to be for outside.
Number 9, do you hear KSW radio being played in any environment outside of your home, car, or phone? Example, store, restaurant.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and that's just one thing I said. I mean, most of the time they'll play like fusions, but like Friday, late afternoon, someone's getting a little, the music got a little punkish. A little too much for the customers, who probably like to turn it. But outside of that, we could keep it there. All right, and that's just part of having a different format, you know, different people.
You guys you wanna keep this thing going?
Well, I'll get to that. And so the last one, are you part of an organization with sponsor of KSW radio? And most people say no, say yes, so that sounds about right. So yeah, I do. The only thing is I want the comments. I want to see the comments. So could we please on the next council, all the comments? I wouldn't mind, you know, looking through them. I mean, seeing what's there. Is that possible, Nicole, to see the comments?
Yeah, I just didn't notice it until today.
That's fine. Thank you.
Will this be something I put in your report to the
We
city
don't need the
council?
rest, just the comments, but
This-
you know,
this,
I can't separate it.
I can, whatever.
Yeah,
works.
Butch had mentioned.
It comes that way.
We could just print all of it.
Yep. That's true.
Cause you can put those in the slide deck and maybe talk about it.
All right, where are we at? Where's my
We did a
pages?
survey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now back to new business. If we have any new business on there, do we? No. Discussion, back to public communication. So Don, would you like to comment on anything there for what you've heard today? You got 3 minutes to do so.
No, nothing here. Thank you.
All right, we have G on there. G, do you have any comments?
Yes, please.
Go ahead if you do. Say yes, please.
Yeah, I thought so.
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted, G. I thought you said yes, please, and then you have something to say, G? It shows you're muted.
Am
Oh,
I
Gina.
recording? now? Can you hear me now?
We hear you. We got you.
I just wanted to say I was listening to Marty talk and the previous emergency management person that we had before Hannah Cleverly used Christchurch, New Zealand as the poster child that none of, not a landline, not a cell phone, nothing worked but text messages. And I know that technology changes, but if we have liquefaction, we're probably not going to have phone service. And so and cell towers as well. And New Zealand had cell towers and they did not have that communication. So I just wanted to add that.
Can I comment back?
I don't think you're supposed to. Can you?
Well, for us, we can. That's city council rules.
Oh, gotcha.
We can engage the public. We can chat with them. Hi, Gina, it's Marty again.
Hi.
Yeah, I agree. And I was down in New Orleans immediately after Katrina and also for the Rita hurricane that came through. And I can echo your comment about texts generally getting through. But I did have an experience where I actually carried two cell phones. One was on Verizon and one was on, I don't know, Cellular One or whoever was available in those days. And sometimes texts would get through on one and sometimes it would get through on the other phone. And that's probably most likely due to the cell tower availability near you at the time. Since almost all the cell towers are microwave linked, if they lose power, they're out of luck too. So the texting side, while it may be viable, it's another one of those that you just cannot absolutely rely on. However, I found it, in my experience, to be slightly more reliable than just regular cell phone service. But that was quite a few years ago, and a number of things have changed in that regard. One of the things that can be done, it's a little tricky to do, but you can do text-to-speech conversion reasonably easily. So in theory, we could set up, wow, my voice just cracked. In theory, we could set up some kind of a configuration where text messaging could be sent to a processor at the tower site, for instance, that could take a text message, convert it to a spoken word message, and actually put that on the air in a serious emergency. So I thanks for bringing up that point about the differences between text success versus voice success with cellular use during these emergencies. So thank you. That's a good reminder.
My husband was in the rescue plan there at the hurricanes as well. But I also wanted to say thank you for putting the 3-minute public comment on the end as well as at the beginning. I so appreciate that. And I just wanted to say that I appreciated that you were trying to be forward thinking as far as the emergencies go. But the original plan was that all employees were supposed to get into all of the city rigs and all of the heavy equipment and take it out to the Hogan's Corner Airport. That's what their thinking was to save the equipment and get it out so that they'd be able to use it afterwards. And
They may still have something like that envisioned. I know for the shakeout, I'm pretty darn sure it was only the fire department that moved out their equipment for a full drill. But I don't remember seeing any of the like city trucks on the road, but they may have, but I don't know. But that's something for their departments to reinvigorate for, because I think that's an important factor. At the same time, you don't want to clog the road up too much, because hopefully, well, presumably some people will try to escape the area, so.
Great, you good, Gina?
Yep, I'm good. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining. Anybody else public comment? Alrighty, future meeting date. Tuesday, November 26th, 10:30, right back here. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
I'll second that.
Adjourn.
Thank you.